Hi, my name is Alana, and all the clothes that you see me wearing now are bulletproof. The reason for this is that every day my life is under threat, and I have to do everything possible to save myself. My dad is a former official who is now retired. All his colleagues have always known him as an honest and impartial person. I can say with confidence that this is true, and that's why I'm really proud of my dad. In fact, these are not empty words because we live in a very corrupt place, and it is common here to take bribes and associate with criminal gangs. But my dad turned out to be firm and principled like flint, and this caused us a whole bunch of trouble. It all started 5 years ago when the criminals claimed some land that was part of our city. However, the administration of the district was going to build an orphanage there. Moreover, the layout had already been developed and the first works had begun. My dad was responsible for making the final decision and he was adamant. He was offered bribes, he was blackmailed and threatened, but everything was in vain. He was not deterred by the gangs and managed to secure that land for the orphanage. His decision caused a storm of anger and indignation among the criminals, and their leader promised to take revenge. The following year, 2 attempts were made on my dad's life, but fortunately, nothing bad happened. However, bodyguards were hired for our entire family. Then again, everything was quiet, and I was looking forward to the moment when I would be able to live as before and not be followed by security guards everywhere I went. However, not a trace of these thoughts remained in my mind when one day an attempt was made on the lives of my father, mother, and me. We were lucky again because there were bodyguards nearby, but then I realized that things were serious. Soon, Dad received a message from the head of the mafia. It was stated there that Dad and Mom were no longer their goals because they were hunting for me. He explained this by the fact that since Dad decided to be kind and give that land to the poor children, he must lose his own child. Their logic was implacable, of course, but these words terribly scared us. On the same day, we had a meeting with the head of our family's security, the head of the FBI, and the chief of police. As a result, it was decided to tighten security measures as much as possible, and the main point in the innovations was the use of body armor for each family member, without which it was no longer possible to leave the house. What can I say? At first, this caused just awful feelings. The armor turned out to be terribly uncomfortable and heavy. While wearing it, I felt like a life-size puppet looking like a hot dog, I swear. It was more difficult even to breathe, not to mention my appearance. In fact, at that moment, I looked as if I had gained 10 pounds, and I was really clumsy. Everything was even harder for my parents, as they both had health problems such as high blood pressure and tachycardia. On the second day after wearing the body armor, my dad needed the help of doctors, and it became clear to us that we had to look for another way out. And the solution was found, but it was really costly. Instead of body armor, we were offered to buy bulletproof clothing. In any other situation, we would have considered it complete nonsense to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on clothes, but when your family's lives are at stake, everything is perceived differently. Bulletproof clothes. To be honest, I didn't even know that existed, but it turned out that many high-ranking officials have been using such outfits all of their lives. So I had to get used to my new image. These clothes turned out to be a little more comfortable and lighter than body armor, but still comfort was out of the question. Apart from that, the way these clothes looked left much to be desired. Everything was of some gloomy color and had a strange style. This was not me. I don't know why, but deep inside, I was hoping that soon the criminals would be detained and everything would be over. I would be able to throw all my new and boring clothes into the trash and can return to my favorite outfits. I wish this happened as soon as possible. But I was brought back to Earth after another attempt on my life. On that day, my bodyguards and I were in the courtyard of our house where I was doing stretching exercises. It was sunny outside, and I only wished that I didn't have to have the guards or these terrible clothes, and then the world would become better and more attractive. As soon as these thoughts popped in my mind, something started buzzing above us. It sounded like a big fly. I looked up and saw a drone above us. After that, one of the bodyguards jumped at me and knocked me down, and the next second, there were heard shots. I felt like something was piercing into my clothes and cap, but I could not understand what it was. It was as if someone was throwing little bouncy balls at me. I could feel this, and it hurt a little, but not too much. Then the bodyguards picked me up and brought me inside the house, locking all the windows and starting to call someone. And only after that, I realized that I was about to be killed with the help of a drone, but my clothes stopped all the bullets, and that's why I had survived. At that moment, I was scared by my own thoughts. What if this was a reminder that I needed to be grateful for what I had? It's hard to say exactly, but after that incident, I started thinking more positively. It also became clear that waiting till all the craziness would be over was really stupid because those people were serious and they were unlikely to retreat in the near future. It was also foolish to expect that they would be detained. If it had been that easy, they would have already been behind bars. This is why I needed to get used to that way of life. Soon, special agents contacted our family and said that the only way to stop the hunt for me was to provoke the criminals. According to their plan, I had to refuse the service of the bodyguards and start leading a normal life. In short, I needed to expose myself and become a target. The special agents said that they would continuously monitor me, and during the assassination attempt, they would try to find the criminal and detain him along with all of his accomplices. Of course, at first we didn't even want to hear anything like this, but the agents reminded me that all my clothes were bulletproof, and that meant that there was nothing to be afraid of. I just had to adhere to certain measures, wear a baseball cap with a large visor, as well as bulletproof clothing with long pants and sleeves, and to never raise my head when leaving the house since my face was the most vulnerable place. I didn't even want to imagine how scary it was for my parents to accept my decision to do what the special agents said, but there was just no other way out. That cat and mouse game could last forever, and the constant tension was incredibly exhausting and annoying. In short, we agreed. The next week was really tense because I had to walk a lot all alone and wait for the fatal shot. I shuddered after hearing any rustle, and I guess I started going crazy. But then another attempt took place. I was sitting on a bench in the center of the city and drinking coffee from a paper cup, which suddenly burst in my hands, and I felt intense burning pain. The next moment, 2 bullets flew to my cap, and I immediately noticed them and was gripped by panic. But I remembered the words of the special agents who told me many times that after hearing the shots, I was supposed to fall face down and wait for someone to come for me. I did that automatically, as if I had lived through this instant hundreds of times. At that moment, the time became infinite because I did not see and did not know what was going on around me and how soon I would be picked up. I was also afraid that the criminals would be quicker than the special agents and would get to me first. I guess at some point, due to anxiety and worrying, I fell asleep or fainted because I woke up after being scared when my mom called me. My parents, together with special agents and doctors, picked me up, put me in an ambulance, and took me to the hospital because I had burns from the hot coffee on my hands. Later, I found out that everything was over. The person who had been shooting was detained within 10 minutes after the attempt on my life, together with his gang and the leader. So at that moment, nothing threatened me. After that incident, I started to appreciate as well as love life and beautiful, comfortable clothes even more. What is most important to you in clothes? Give your answers in the comments, click on the thumbs up button, and subscribe to our channel.